Hello, everyone.
All right.
Yeah, we are here for another Australian weekly news highlight. This Saturday, we're bringing this live to you from the beautiful Darling Harbour of Sydney. I'm Peter.
I'm Gary.
And then, if you like our video, please make sure you subscribe to our channel. Now it's called Sydney Resi. And then, if you are interested in our content, please, give us a like, forward it to your friend, and again, subscribe to our channel. So with no further ado, let's just get into business. All right. So let's have a look. This week, we have a lot of topic to cover. It's towards the end of the year now, so there's going to be a lot of summarized articles come out regarding or recapping the year 2020 and compare the data to what was originally forecasted at the beginning of the year, and also what was originally forecasted when the pandemic first happens. So let's have a look at the first one. It's called House Prices Surge in Australian Capital Cities Driven by Aggressive Government Stimulus. This year, I have never seen so many stimulus in my career. I think all the stimulus are now packed into this crazy strong recovery from the COVID-19 recession this year. And then not only it will inflate this year, I think it will inflate into the future as well. 2021.
According to this article, they think it's going to go on for another year.
That's right.
Really, it summarises all the things we've been saying over the last 3 or 4 months. The government's come out really hard with a load of stimulus. They really want to support the property industry.
That's right.
As we keep saying, 25% of the Australian economy is based on the property industry.
That's right.
And they obviously want to support the banks, so they've come out really hard. And what that's resulted in is, as we've been seeing, record prices in assets. That's combined with people realising that as interest rates go down, and as the worry about printing more money comes along, everyone's putting money into assets, and great asset obviously is property.
So that's right. That's right. So they even had a capital cities surge table, in the consideration of another COVID hit, in consideration of maybe the government will remove, especially New South Wales government will remove stamp duty next year and combine stamp duty and land tax into a new property tax, and then considering the new budget about how the first home buyer will get more incentives, how home builder will get more incentives, all of that, and then giving a table. And this is a very interesting table. It actually says this is a base case. So what is this base case scenario?
Well, the base case assumes that you're going to have another round of lockdown, which we may not have, obviously, hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Where is it? Said and talked about Sydney being affected by the New South Wales proposed land tax, as you said. The Perth, it talked about, will be affected by recovering commodities markets, which I'm not so sure about, actually. There we are. I think
that's why they put Perth on the biggest jump here, which is about 8 to 12%. That's a bold figure.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you see, everything I read about is that American economy and the European economies are getting weaker. If they're weaker, they're not going to buy goods, which means that won't need as much commodities. But there we are. Let's see how these guys go. So, look, the base case was, pretty. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't very inflationary, shall we say. So we could do better than that, just depending on, especially in places like Sydney, etc. Especially if we don't get the additional lockdowns. If we don't get any more lockdowns, we manage to keep this wretched disease out until we can get most people vaccinated, then it'd be great.
Yeah, and majority of the major cities are expected to have around 5 to 7% minimum in terms of the price rises in
yeah.
2021, except for Melbourne, Hobart, and I think they've been really sort of conservative with Melbourne. Melbourne market is a strong market, and
Yeah.
with whatever it has been dropped, and due to the longest lockdown ever, in a major city in the world, I really expected Melbourne to be having more than 2 to 6%.
Maybe. I think the reason they put that is they think that because it's such a long lockdown, they'll get a lot of businesses will go under in Melbourne. So that's what they factored in, which is why they've still got Melbourne sort of dragging its feet or lagging in the recovery.
That's right. So earlier this week, the property research firm CoreLogic said the median property prices in Australia has lifted by 0.8% in November.
In November, that's 1 month.
That's 1 month. So nationally, 0.8%. Canberra and Darwin being two of the strongest, almost 2% in just 1 month. Sydney being 0.4%. But if you actually break out to different areas of Sydney, some areas really has outperformed, much more than 0.4% in this crazy November. If people has been tuning into the channel, you should have seen how many crazy auction results and how many properties goes before the auction even started it. At a $1 million above
We've
price
been saying, isn't it? Suburbs have been setting new records. So we're talking about $10 million suburbs, which is amazing.
Which is common now.
Turramurra.
Like a Turramurra, that's right. And then boosting property at any cost. The base case assumed the nation may be plagued by third wave of coronavirus infection, more lockdown, and a progressively roll out of COVID-19 vaccine. So, the government this year, I think the title really goes to, it's a really good title to summarize what the government has started this year, boosting property at any cost. And like you said, it's 25% of the overall economy. And it's something that the government have strong control over it as well. Because let's just say if they want to try to boost travel, I mean, they can't do that, right? Because the lockdown is necessary.
Yes.
And with the new cases happening in Sydney, which recently has been a few, they're all external travelers that come back from overseas to Sydney.
It's all associated with overseas travel.
That's right.
The last one was the result, they think, of someone who's a hotel worker in Darling Harbour, where we are now.
Oh, it's actually just in that building right
catching it potentially from American cabin crew.
That's right.
Or not directly, I think it's just that they went to clean the room after they left or something.
That's right,
So, but it's all associated with, the good news is that it seems at the moment that most of the cases, if not all the cases, are where there's a interaction with someone who's coming from abroad, which is a good thing, because it means basically, hopefully, the thing isn't floating around in the actual populace, which is what we want.
That's right.
So we've just about managed to get rid of it in Australia. Just about.
Yeah. So first home buyer driven by FOMO. In here, I actually asked Gary, what's FOMO?
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. This year is a very good year in terms of market, or good or bad, depending on where you are at. But obviously, the prices are now back to normal or even higher than what was expected. And it was first year that first home buyers really start to come out and shine and make the mark on the market. And then we have properties in Sydney. If it's brand new from developer, first home buyer can get stamp duty free if the price is under 800,000. And then with the home builder thing, they have raised up the bar to 950,000. So, where before it's 750,000. So it's really good for a lot of first home buyers to actually jumping in to grab their home, and which is exactly what has happened, this year as well. Later on, we're gonna have an article talk about, some suburbs are actually cheaper to buy than rent. But that's coming later, in another article. Fear of missing out is definitely one of the major factors. Got a lot of first-home buyers going into the market because they see in the news, they see the data, they see the auction clearance rate, they see the market start booming, and there's crazy auctions happening. The prices just start to really shoot up the sky, especially in eastern suburbs or northern suburbs. And I think that wave is going to carry on to the remaining part of Sydney.
Gradually.
Yeah, gradually. And stimulus-driven construction surge as well. Like I said, one of my friends works for a major house builder. So they don't really build high rises, but they build like house land packages and all that. And then this year has been the busiest year they have ever had in the history of their business.
Yeah.
And then I think September was their busiest month ever, in terms of the company's history. So it looks like not only the first home buyer jump in the market to buy, it has been a really good year for anyone who works in construction as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can't get tradies at all. Yeah, it's really hard to get things built these days. So I know that's what a lot of the builders are all saying. They just can't get the staff. So there we go. Not that.
That's right. And two data here says the value of construction loan jumped 10.9% in October compared to the previous months, but since July it has surged 65.6%. Yeah. And then they noted that the construction loans has skyrocketed by 86% compared to October 2019.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge.
If you think about it, compare with last year. Last year we didn't have COVID.
Yep.
In October, we didn't even know it existed.
That's right.
And here we are by a huge amount more in terms of construction loans. So it just shows how strong the property and the construction industry is going.
Yeah, and then another thing is the borrowing. There's been a little bit controversy around the borrowing. There are people that thinks we already have a history high borrowings, so there's no need to change anything in the borrowing sector. But another way, next year, we know that, or we heard that, the responsible lending is going to get removed as a basic requirement, which is to stimulate people to go and lend money. So there's been a bit of a controversy around that as well, whether they should do anything to lending anyway, because people already lend a lot.
Well, that's
already.
right. I mean, they're at record rates of borrowing for house building, not just for building, but also for purchases.
That's right.
So it clearly shows the demand's there. Why would you suggest to the banks they could even start pumping that even more?
Yep.
And not have to worry about being sensible about whether people can afford to pay it back?
That's right.
But banks aren't stupid. They don't. They get a bit of FOMO, when it really starts to boost up. But basically, the banks at the moment are tightening. They don't want to lend money to people who can't pay it back.
That's right.
It gives them a real problem down the track.
That's right.
And I just don't. Personally, I think it's silly to change these rules. I can see the rules like we discussed at the time. If you recall, that there was that guy who got promoted and then he had to go back from the beginning.
Yep.
But that's an internal bank rule.
Yeah.
That's not responsible lending.
That's right.
Clearly, that's just a stupid thing. And that's the bank's own fault, because it's pretty obvious. If someone gets promoted, why would you suddenly say, well, your firm may not want you anymore? So we'll get, But I think allowing or encouraging people to borrow when they may, when you've got doubts they could ever pay it back, or I just think is silly. I mean, that's exactly where the Americans went wrong in California, which really triggered it started in California, triggered the
recession,
triggered the GFC.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think they should be, and we had that Royal Commission, and they found a lot of things that the banks were doing which were naughty and silly and wrong, and I think we should keep things tight on that. That's not to say they shouldn't lend it. If somebody walks in the door who can patently pay the money back and they're a good bet, lend the money if they want to borrow.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So house prices on the rise. House financing just hit a record high. First home buyers are finally making their mark.
Yep.
Just summarize. All right, let's go into the next one. Queensland property prices define COVID-19 downturn as interstate buyers has had north.
In droves, which means lots.
Lots. Yeah.
So typical, Queensland, Gold Coast taking off, especially they're talking about, large houses near the coast.
That's right.
Prices going off. So my view is, so what's new? I mean, I remember this happening in the 90s. It happened, it always happens, and it's really got back on track now. So Gold Coast and Noosa and Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, they're all surging, which is good.
That's right.
And not so good for Sydney because people, it's a natural thing. When the prices get too much in Sydney, people move north. That's what they've always done. They either move to the Central Coast, or they move maybe the Mid Coast, but otherwise they go up to Queensland and the Gold Coast.
That's right. And then I've seen an article. We're not going to talk about today because of timing, but they have said the investors has crept back into the market, and then they had a data about what's the top 10 suburbs, and a lot of them are actually in the Central Coast and in the Gold Coast and in Noosa, in Sunshine Coast, all these areas. And I think because the reason behind that is probably because, with COVID, a lot of people wanted to enjoy their home time a lot more, and then they wanted to live in a better place. They wanted to live in something much more lifestyle than what it used to be because, they spend so much time at home. And also, with now you can work from home for some of the industries, living in the beachfront or living something with a beautiful view, nice weather, and jump on the internet and just start working, will become a trend in the future. And it's one of the things that COVID has changed, the world with. And it's not just happening in Australia, it's happening all over the place as well.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of migration up to Queensland and from New South Wales and obviously now Victoria.
That's right. So you can see the prices in regional Queensland has risen by 3.2% over the past 3 years, which is more than 1% per year. And this data figure shows that all these areas like Gold Coast, Brisbane, Central Queensland, Sunshine Coast, all the prices are booming everywhere. Yeah, and this year, the trend will continue because international travel are still in a very, there's just not that many international flights, and international travel hasn't been properly resumed neither. But it's Christmas, people need to travel, so interstate will become even harder. Just like earlier I told you about my parents' place, where at the beginning of COVID, their investment property down at the Gold Coast, unfortunately moved into a very cool stage, but now it's hotter than ever. Everything is fully booked out, Airbnb or hotel rooms.
Well, I mean, as I said, the one sector of the economy which won't rebound is going to be the international travel and international hotels, but means again that we can all get hotel rooms at reasonable rates, although they're booked, they're all full up, all with Aussies moving around their own country, which is good.
That's right. And then this real estate agent who works in the Gold Coast has said that 80 to 90% of my transactions over the last 3 to 6 months alone have all been from buyers either in Melbourne or in Sydney, which is just a phenomenal status.
As I said, what's new, it's what it's always been.
Yeah, it's what's always been. It's just because COVID, so it started to boost it up a little bit.
I think
make everything quicker.
I met a guy the other day, and he's moving, and he used to run, he set up LJ Hooker in Manly and etc. in different places, and he's going up there moving the whole family up. His rationale is because he got in the car one day to drive to come down to the city to have a meal with the wife, and just took him too long, and he just thought, "God, I've had enough." He just fed up with the big city. That's what it is.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Try to stuck in the traffic in Sydney.
Yeah.
For 2 hours every day, which will happen. You want to move.
Yeah.
Rent spikes as well. Unpredicted demand. Yeah.
That's the rent. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is in Cairns. So this is not in Gold Coast. This is in Cairns, but the vacancy rate is now only 1%. Supply demand was pushing prices up by at least 10%.
Yeah.
And that's a rent as well. Yep.
What's that?
Yeah. So the
new
REIQ
houses,
the government needed to encourage constructions of new houses to keep up with the demand, especially in these regional suburbs. There hasn't been a lot of development activities happening.
No, not recent. Not since the GFC.
That's right.
There was a lot going on just up to the GFC, and then it just absolutely collapsed up there, especially around the Cairns and Port Douglas areas.
That's right.
And it came back a little bit, but not anything like it. And, so they need to really get a boost, and they probably need a little bit of help to get it going in terms of construction up there. Banks weren't that keen, or wouldn't be that keen at the moment. They need to be pushed up a bit. Okay.
That's right. Okay, I think that's the end of this article.
Yeah.
And I just move into the suburbs. Earlier we talked about an article where in some of the New South Wales suburbs, it's cheaper to buy a property than rent.
Yeah.
In overall data, it still hasn't been, it's not a common thing, but now there are quite a certain suburbs that come out. And I believe that, if you don't jump in the market now, these opportunities will just gone with the price increment so quickly. If you look back a few months back, when these prices hasn't been jumped that quickly, there probably will be more suburbs that's actually cheaper to buy than rent. But these opportunities are becoming, less and less. Yeah. So the interest rate at the moment are just a recap. The actual interest rate you can get from the bank, not from the Reserve Bank, but from as a purchaser to go out and borrow, is roughly about 1.99% if you go in there for 4 years fixed loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also give some sort of, a lot of banks are running promotions. So apart from this, you also get like $2,000 cash rebate or some bonuses and all that. But it's below 2% at the moment for a 4 years fixed loan on your property if you're owner occupier, not investment. A majority of the Australian rent to the investor, the return on the rent is roughly about 3 to 4%. I remember I have done one of the article before, talk about what's the average yield for house and apartments, where houses somewhere around 2.2 to about 2.7, and apartments is somewhere around 3.3 to about 4. So, giving these figures, you already know that a lot of these people are starting to get positive cash flow, which means, some of the areas, the rent is actually covering, the interest, which means some areas in Sydney, despite New South Wales are very expensive, the most expensive state in Australia, there are still opportunities for you to do it at the moment because the rate is just so low. Yeah, so
it's interesting to see what happens if interest rate goes even lower.
Yeah. So I think in the areas, the Greater Sydney location, we're buying houses cheaper than rent, including Lake Haven, Surrey Mall, Blue Haven, some of the suburbs. With the units, it's West Gosford, Warwick Farm, North Gosford, in these areas. In regional New South Wales, like Broken Hills, Wellington, it was cheaper to buy a house than rent. And we're talking about houses as well, which is crazy.
Broken Hill, well,
Yeah.
I don't think you buy in Broken Hill. Prices are probably cheaper there now than they were 20 years ago. So, but places like Musselbrook, that's further up the Hunter, the upper Hunter, as I call it. But places like North Gosford and West Gosford, they've had a bit of overbuilding there, so that would reflect that some of the developers are having to shift their stock. So
the 12 suburbs across Sydney, where the cost of repaying a new variable rate mortgage is likely to be less than $50 per week extra compared with the rent, were located across the Central Coast. For units, there are 23 suburbs across the outer figures of the metro areas, including the Central Coast, Liverpool, Blacktown, Parents, and Camperdown areas. So always saying is there's a reason why there's so many first home buyers, because if you can pull out a calculator and do some simple calculation, it makes sense. In 2008, when the discounted variable rate for owner-occupied reaches 8.96%, and 3 years fixed rate was 9.42%. By June 2020, the average discounted variable rate has dropped to 3.65%, where the 3 years fixed rate were at 2.35%. And now, if you go into the major banks like CBA or Westpac, who we just went to a function, that was held by Westpac a couple of days ago, and then they have burnout is 1.99%, and also they're gonna match any other lower offer from the major banks as well. Yeah. Yep. So that's why all I want for Christmas is to sell my house or buy a house.
No, buy a house.
Buy a house. Well, someone had to sell it in order for someone to buy it, isn't it? So December shapes up as a busy month as the lower North Shore market ends the year on a high. I remember when we first started to do this broadcast, we have seen a lot of crazy prices happening in the eastern suburb. And I said, after the eastern suburb booms, have a look at North Shore, because it's always what happens. Yeah. And then when house prices booms, let's look at apartment. That's always what happens. Yeah. So today, let's just see. Let's see again. The prophecy came true again. I really hope that anyone who actually watched the channel back in the time that when we were doing it have bought something in Lower North Shore. It would help you already. You will see the result already. The program is free, but you make money. It's all yours, right? So December, let's have a look. What happened there again? Mosman. This is from Mosman Daily. There's a classic charm in Lavender Bay, which is a very beautiful little pocket in.
Lavender Bay is not in Mosman.
No, this is the North Shore.
Yeah.
No, I mean the article is from Mosman Daily.
Right.
Yeah, it was referenced from Mosman Daily. Yeah. So the Lower North Shore's property market has seemed to be very determined, to end a year on a high. Last week, 93% auction clearance rate was well above Sydney's general clearance rate of 86%. 86% is crazy high.
93% is off the planet.
Is off the planet, yeah. So, that was just, crazy. Amount that there was 1920s, a little cottage. I remember this one.
Oh yes.
So that was done before it would attract 137 group of people, and then they sold it on a very quick. It was sold very quick, and we were about this guy at 2.5 million. And there's also this Lavender Bay Old Terrace home at 35 Walker Street. It was supposed to go to auction this weekend, but sold earlier to the buyer downsizing from Upper North Shore, and it sold for 4.52 million on a Friday.
Probably the people who sold their place in Turramurra.
Probably, and spent less than half of what they sold their place for to bought something in the beautiful areas like Lavender Bay.
Lavender Bay, lovely.
Yeah. Home has views, harbors, everything, and then including 3-bedroom.
That's the type of view you get from Lavender Bay.
That's right. All on the certain properties.
Yes, but it's the type of view.
Yeah.
If you get the right view.
Yeah, there have been sales worth more than 10 million. happening all these. There has been 20 sales in Lavender Bay so far this year, and 3 of them are already over 10 million, including this 2/9 Verity Street that was sold in April for 11 million. 2/8 King George Street sold in May for 10.75 million, and then 35 Bayview Street sold for 12.72 million. Yeah, and those are not even houses. The King George Street and Beverly Street, they're not house. You know, 61 groups of people, issued 10 contracts and wrap up the sale. Another one in North Sydney, it's a 26B High Street in North Sydney. Known locally as the Pink House, sold for 1.65 million, above the price guide of 1.6 million as well. And if you see something like 1 something million, just go and get it.
Yeah.
This is just, the price is everywhere. It's just price goes through off the roof everywhere, and just not and also it's not just something with the harbor view, with water view, with the bridge and everything. This one is a property that's in a Boutique 12 property block, located at 9 to 11 Doohat Avenue. There's a ground floor apartment, GO2. It's just a 2-bedroom. It was designed and finished by Coco Republic, sold under Hammer for 2.01 million. Just 2-bedroom. And that's just crazy. 1-bedroom, same thing, also sold $975,000. Penthouse has sold off the market for $4.2 million. Yeah, so Lower North Shore, people who owns property in it, big winner this year.
Yep.
I wonder how much my property is gonna worth. All right, so let's have a look. Another record prices. When we talk about houses, now we're moving into apartment. We start to see a lot of these record prices happening in townhouse apartments now. We're moving from houses. Houses are up there, and then all these people that unfortunately missed out on these properties are now moving towards a different type of market. So let's have a look at what has happened this week in Darling Point. I was just actually in Darling Point today, earlier today, and I saw this sold signs everywhere. This one is an apartment owned by the travel agent Faye Pohan, and the property has been sold for 6.65 million in an exciting auction. And when I actually see
exciting auction.
Yeah, so when I see the price is 6.65 million, the first thing came into my mind is definitely a penthouse. It's gonna be big. Probably it's gonna be about 300 square meters or at least 250 square meters or something like that. But when I actually go down the line, I am a little bit surprised as well, because the property sold for 6.65 million is only 140 square meters. The price guide was only $4 million. And it was sold at 47,500 per meter.
Big price.
It is a big price, yeah. But this is what happened. It's already happened. And It's not something that hasn't been sold.
No. You said it's the same block, isn't it? Is that where that arty chap was the other day? Was it?
That's right.
If I recall correctly.
And I thought this would be at least a 3-bedder, but it's actually a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment with 1 car space. There we go.
It's not big. It's still generous, isn't it? It's a nice size.
It's nice size for 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
But it's even crazier price.
It's not a penthouse or anything luxury of that nature. But it's good price.
It is good price. Yeah. Price guide 4 million for the apartment. Now goes over 6.
And that's
just exactly like what I said earlier this year. People is either gonna move into apartment market or townhouse market.
Yeah.
There are, people are there in the apartment market. Last week, remember Steve, the art dealer, has sold his property for 13.25 million.
Yeah, same block, isn't it? I think from my memory. That's what I'm trying to say.
I can't remember it was same block. Yeah, but it was a very similar location. His one is higher, on a higher level.
Yeah, it's higher. It's half the size. Yeah, just 140.
Yeah, it was just half the size.
Half. Well, 6 plus 6 is 12.
Yeah.
Steve sold his for 13, so this is still a bargain.
Still a bargain. Oh my God.
Nothing will ever be as well finished as Steve's apartment.
Oh,
That was the most gorgeous apartment.
it is. Yeah, the renovation cost for him alone is about $5 million already. You know.
I would be worried about living in the apartment.
Why?
Well, because it may spoil it. Don't put that coffee cup there.
Well, that's how much.
Don't walk on the floor.
Well, the thing.
Perfect.
Yeah, you spend $13 million just to, have the privilege to spoil it, isn't it? All right, so let's have a look at this. Another unit sale. So it's not a house. It's not the house market being already high as it is now. The market is in the apartments.
Yeah.
So Cloverleaf units sells for 1.595 million in the hot auction that attracts Bambi, Northwood, Blaze. Blythe.
What is Bambi, Northwood, Blythe?
Let's have a look.
I mean, Clovelly would not surprise me.
Yeah, but the apartment
is really nice.
Yeah, the apartment was on the market for the first time in 46 years. Yeah, so it's not a new unit.
It's not. Oh no, not a new unit. It probably needs a lot of work doing on it.
Yeah, it's $345,000 above the reserve at 1.595 million in an auction. It's not huge neither. It is attractive.
That's small, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's small. And it's not like
very, very small balcony.
And it doesn't really have that sort of view. The view is not that good.
Well, it's not that. I mean,
it's not
water.
bad.
You've got water. You can see water.
Yeah. So Bambi is the Australian model. There we go. That's a photo of Bambi. There are 14 registered bidders that was there. I remember before we talk about registered bidders, for Rewire, on average, if there are 5 registered bidders, it was a good market. And now there's 14. Kicks off between 2 parties, and the price increment is $10,000 for several minutes until 2 more bidders entered at 1.3 million, and it goes up to 1.355 million, become a 2-horse again, between the 5th party into the local who have enlisted a McGrath agent to bid on her behalf. The crowd watches shocked and climbed the sale price. Both parties trade blow after blow for around $200,000 worth of bid when it slowed down at about $5,000. And in the end, the local buyer ended up coming up top after underbidder caved at 1.595. Wow. And this is the unit. This is the apartment.
Well, that's not very attractive, is it?
And that's not very attractive at all. But by all means, there are 14 people registered for this.
Yeah, it's a good location. Clovelly's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one is one of the 892 Sydney auctions scheduled for the week. 2 more than the number that was due to take place last weekend. So it's December, and we still have almost 900 auctions scheduled. That's, hot, I'll say. Yeah. That's hot. Okay, next one. Sydney house prices surpassed 1 million mark after second consecutive months of growth.
Oh, this is cheap, because that is the auction of that apartment in
Manly. That 1-bedroom apartment was already $2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as Mr. Piddington, see? Rating his...
That's right.
So,
yeah,
it's not a house, that's what I'm trying to say.
It's not a house. It's not a house. But anyway, it's just a sign shows that
That's me being finicky.
the market has bounced back.
Yeah.
I think that all it was saying is the market has finally came back. At the beginning of the year, people has forecasted, with pandemic, there may be 10% or to 20% drop of the prices. This fall we have seen has far less than 10%. At the beginning when the market started to go down, I actually spoke with my staff. My staff said, "Hi, Pete, I don't think how we can do the real estate business in this year because people are saying just wait out and the prices will drop 20%. And some article I've seen in the Chinese media has said it's gonna be 50% drop. It's gonna be halved and all of that. And I told them, just watch the end of the year. If we have dropped, we are unlucky already. Possibility is that at the end of the year, the price is not only it will probably not going to be dropped, it will probably be stay even or just come up a little bit. There will be a curve that the price was down to a bottom line, but it wouldn't be 10% anyway, and it will recover really quickly. And then look at this year at the end of it, it looks like I'm not gonna say this again, but looks like I'm right again. Yeah. So for those people, an article talk about by the end of 2020, the price is gonna be halved, or 20% down, or even 10% down. I mean,
What I said earlier, though, isn't it? So a few months ago, I said there's never been a property market which has collapsed when you've got interest rates going down, and that's really what saved. That's what's done it.
Yep.
Is the fact that interest rates keep dropping, people can afford to buy more if they've got a secure job, and they bid up the price and they take advantage, and that's really what it is.
Yeah. But not saying everything has been bounced back. The Sydney uni prices are still at a fall of 0.1% down from the start of 2020.
Yeah, but I mean, some areas of Sydney they're up, like where I live, unit prices are up.
Yep. Yeah. Where I live, unit prices are up as well.
Yeah. But other areas of Sydney, they're down probably, I'm guessing, 5-10%.
That's right. And look at the Clovelly unit or the Darling Point one, and the Manly one. All these areas, the prices
I think
are
that's the thing. I mean, the trouble with property, you've got to look at it. It just says Sydney overall, but property is a load of microcosm little areas, and there will be areas. That's what I've always said. Areas of Sydney where if you're willing and you can afford it, is worth getting in now, and you'll buy at a price which you just can't go wrong at.
That's right.
Because despite what we say, I mean, if you can go and get one of these areas which are affected by the universities because all the students aren't there.
Yeah, it will be affected.
Right?
Yeah.
You may have a hard job for a year or two if you're an investor.
That's right.
If you can afford to, if you want to live there, it's fantastic.
Yep.
You buy, and they will go back up again.
Yep.
Give them 2 or 3 years, those universities will all be buzzing away just like they used to be.
Yep.
And prices will just shoot right back up again.
That's right.
And so that will be around University of New South Wales, University of Sydney, around Broadway, the inner areas. I mean, here where we are now, it's a good time to buy now down here because this area has been affected.
Yeah. And then the 2-bedroom in Darling Harbour, we're listing at the moment is only about 1.2 million, starting from only about 1.2 million.
Young people will want to come and live in the centre of Sydney, even though they can work remotely, etc., etc. They're at a stage in their life where they will want to live down this way. And then when they get older, they'll all think, "Oh God, it's all too much. Traffic's too much. I want to get out."
That's right.
But the young people, they'll all come back to the centre of the Sydney. Once this COVID business is out of the way, which will be in about certainly another year. I mean, I think we'll suffer for another year because it's going to take time to roll out the vaccination and get the international travellers back. But then, bang, we'll all be back off to the races.
That's right.
So
there will always be demand.
That's what I've always said. If you can afford, if you're a parent out there and you can afford to help your kid buy something, and you can get it around one of the universities or around this area, Otherwise, there's places out west around Parramatta and places. There's been overbuilding around Rouse Hill, up in the northwest sector. There's been overbuilding. I would guess, I'm not an expert on this, but I would guess there's been overbuilding down in the southwest as well, around the Leppington area.
That's right.
So if you can get out there and help the kids or whatever, and get them in the housing ladder, I would suggest you do so.
That's right. And then majority of the reason of why the apartment prices hasn't been stick up overall, not saying because some suburbs the prices are already up.
Yeah.
You know, but overall it hasn't.
Well, there's no good northern beaches, for instance.
That's right. You know? That's right. Yeah. And you know, it's just because Australia has suffered a very high vacancy rate this year in rental markets, especially
but only in certain areas.
Yeah, in certain areas. And you know, another thing is there are zero travelers and zero migrations this year.
Yeah.
You know, not at all. You know, especially for migrants this year, there's zero migrants. You know, where Australia has never had zero migrants. So if you have zero migrants, and then at the end of the year, the prices only suffered 0.1% down from the start of this year, that probably means this is the worst you can get.
Yeah.
You know, and
so I think places like this area, Darling Harbour, is going to bounce really quickly.
Very quickly. The rent will go up really quickly as well.
The reason I think that is that next year they're going to have a concerted push getting people back into the offices.
That's right.
With that will come all the youngsters coming back into the centre of the city, and bang, the prices will go back up again.
That's right. That's right. Okay, and the last one for today is a discussion about why November marks a turning point for the economy and the house prices. So the Australian economy is now in recovery mode, with almost all economy data shows a faster rebound than expected in the wake of the coronavirus crisis. We were declared earlier this year we're officially in a recession. Officially in a recession, but it looks like we're gonna very soon have another news come out and declare we're officially out of recession. You know, let's have a look.
We are out of recession. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yep.
Under the technical term of what a recession is,
we are.
But we're still in the recovery mode, so we're still not as economically vibrant as we were. We've still got ways to go, and but I mean, I think I come back that we are just so lucky. Compared with other areas of the world, we are just so lucky.
Yep. Since July, the prices have started to rebound in terms of the house prices, and then this month we start to see the unit prices start slowly coming back as well, and that's even before we resume international travel and before we resume migrants. So we'll have a look before we resume students as well. There's no international students here at all.
A few, but
there are a few that hasn't left, but there's no new students that coming into the city. I heard the first wave of students has came through this week. Yeah, really? This week. Yeah, okay. But not to Sydney, to Queensland.
Oh.
Yeah, so Sydney hasn't really resumed the international students coming back to Sydney yet.
Right.
Yeah. And you already see all these recoveries already. So a couple of reasons why November is the month. First of all, Victoria finally out of lockdown. So the October employment numbers were particularly surprising, given Victoria was in lockdown for almost the entire month. November, Victoria, especially Melbourne, has really come back to normal and then start to resume everything. And also I think the US and everyone has been talking about a vaccine, and looks like the vaccine has some really strong breakthrough recently as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, the UK have approved that one, haven't they? The one, I forgot which one it was now, Pfizer, that's right. So they've approved the Pfizer one. They start injecting people next week.
I heard from the Russians are going into...
They've got one, they've got one. The Chinese have got one.
Yeah.
So the US have got two. They've got a Moderna one and the Pfizer one, just about. Pfizer's been approved in the UK. Presumably Moderna will also get approved. And then they've got the Oxford one, which I don't know where that is exactly. It's nearly there by the sounds of it. So we'll have to go and have a choice of injection next year.
That's right.
You'll be able to decide which one you want.
And the choice will probably happen around March next year as well.
Yeah, well,
that's what I said.
I mean, well, the UK started already. America will be very, very fast behind it. You can guarantee that.
Yeah.
And I think, as people have said, look, I mean, it's difficult for things like international students. And I can understand that, but overall, it's good to not be first.
That's right.
Because you can learn from where people go wrong and etc. And they will, in the rollout of something like that in a hurry, they will make mistakes.
Yep.
So if we keep watching and see what mistakes they make, and then we can learn from those and hopefully get it right. I'm in no hurry to get injected.
It will probably be essential or required if you are going to travel internationally.
I think so as well.
Yeah, but if it's not, you're going to stay in Sydney or you're going to stay inbound, you should have an option. You should have choice.
Yeah. I got no problems with that as a rule. Some people I talk to say, "Oh, I don't want to get injected. I don't want to get it in my body."
Well, the thing is, you get injected already. When you were a kid, in this little book, you have all these vaccines go into your body already. It's just because at the time you wasn't aware of this. It was just a thing, and your parents take you to the hospital and then the medical center, and you just get it done. And that's it.
That's right.
Yeah, my boy had this little blue book that he had.
I've still got my blue book for all my kids.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're old now.
They're old now.
I've still got their
They're
blue
still your
books.
kids.
I've still got the blue books.
Yeah, the blue book, and look at all these vaccines available, and you had to do them as well. You can't if you don't do them, you can't put them in childcare.
That's right. That's quite right, and I think it's good.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about vaccines, but some people do worry about it. But there's no doubt there is. Vaccines are never that accurate.
No.
So there's always a margin of error.
That's right.
And that's something which people just take the view that overall is beneficial, even though some people will react adversely to it.
That's right.
There we are.
Yeah. The Australian government has already bought 30 million doses of Oxford vaccine. It's manufactured and said it's moving ahead to have it approved by Australian regulators.
Well, yeah, they've got to get it. They've still got some issues with that one.
Yep. That was the 95% expected issue, right? I've read it, it was all over the place. But anyway, eventually this thing will come out, and this is the first time I've seen something that's being so effective. And just the let's just say, even just the news of the vaccine is going to be ready, I think that's already improved a lot of things already.
Well, people can see light at the end of the tunnel now. They can know that.
That's right.
And then next year, most of the world will be injected, or the Western world, shall we say?
Yep.
And it means that international travel can get going again. It means that from the hotel's point of view, they'll get international guests. If you're running a travel business which relies on international travel, you can get going again.
Yep.
Imagine if you're in international travel, you've still got another year to sit around waiting.
That's right.
If you're running a business over here which relies on taking international guests around Sydney or whatever it may be, then it's a long time, isn't it?
Yep, it is a long time. All right. Follow up. Another thing that got clarified as well. We should get clarified earlier, but now finally got clarified is the U.S. election certainty.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So regardless whether it's going to be a lawsuit or not going to be a lawsuit, it looks like Joe Biden is going to be the 46th president of the United States on 20th of January 2021.
Yep, that's right.
Yep. So that's one last piece of uncertainty out of the equation. It could affect everybody a lot by not knowing what's going to happen. Now you know what's going to happen. One thing.
California today, this morning, announced that which everyone was expecting, because they're a democratic state anyway, that they were going to, all their 55 people in Congress were going to put their votes to Biden. So
Biden.
that takes him absolutely out of reach now for Trump.
That's right.
Even if Trump won one of these other ones,
it's just not going to happen.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter anymore. Interest cut again. The Reserve Bank of Australia cut the cash rate to 0.1% at the start of November. Make it the lowest level ever again. And property researchers tend to respond positively to interest rate cuts, and it just means a lot of ease on the cash flow of a lot of people.
Yeah, well, as I said, I think the thing that will influence us most next year will be the fact that overseas the pressures on interest rates, and especially in the US, are still downwards.
That's right.
I'm looking at the figures again today, and it's still down. So as we get most of our money from the US, the Australian banks borrow their money from the US money markets, that bodes well for interest rates over here. I mean, the cash rates, the Reserve Bank, people don't take that much notice of. They're not all that related to what they can lend at. Obviously, it has an impact, but so if they're still looking negative or going down, then at the end of the day, it looks like mortgage rates will keep heading down.
That's right. That's right. And then talking about mortgage rate heading down, there's also other big spendings on state budgets, just to help people coming out of recession, including the new Victorian government on Tuesday has announced temporary stamp duty relief for those who purchase property up to $1 million in the bid to stimulate the property market. What happened in Melbourne now is that if you buy a new build off the plan, if the value is less than 1 million, your stamp duty will be cut in half.
Right. Okay.
So if you pay 40 grand before, now you pay 20.
20 grand.
Yeah, and this thing will last until the 30th of June 2021. And the existing home also will be benefited at a 25% stamp duty waiver as well. So, New South Wales announced stamp duty probably will get removed entirely and replaced with a property tax for holding, and that's good news as well. So Melbourne already go into action, into bringing this out of the water, and New South Wales will consult with the industry professional until around March next year.
I think that'll make people get on. As I said to you, you've got a choice, as I understand it still.
Yep.
But he reckons it's going to bring him in another $11 billion or something over 10 years. But if it's $11 billion, it means that overall it goes up.
Yep.
So the answer is that, get on and buy.
Get on by. Yeah, that's right. Get on by. It looks like we are a channel. I feel like we're a channel. Okay, first declare, we haven't been paid by anyone. This is not a paid program, but it looks like we've been promoting to get people to buy properties for the whole past few, I don't know how many episodes, because the government is just really trying to get this signal out.
Well, the reason I say is I just genuinely think we're at the bottom of the cycle.
Yeah.
And we'll have another 4, 5, 6 years of growth. So now's a good time. As I said in the last one, you look back in 5 years' time and say, I'm glad I bought then.
That's right.
Because I really do think it's going to shoot up. So otherwise, if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be saying it. So, because I think, overseas, as I've been saying to Peter, overseas, economically in the US, because of COVID, etc., and in Europe, it's looking very, that's why I don't know earlier on about the, people were saying the commodity prices are going to go up and therefore Perth property prices will go up, because my reading is commodity prices will probably take a dip next year. So we'll see, but there we go. But definitely in terms of the cycle and the property cycle, we're at the low point.
That's right.
So, we're at the low point and prices are going up. I was expecting prices to drop by about 10%, but then I didn't see how much interest rates will go down. So
that's right.
That's really good.
Yeah, interest rate and all the stimulus.
Yeah.
And also it shows that the government, when the prices start to slash, the government will come in and save the deal.
Well, they'll try again. I mean, the big thing I think we can see at the moment is that, we've got COVID, injections, we know it's going to be good in the future, but at the moment interest rates are going down, and from Australia now having, I'm not going to say we defeated COVID yet, but we definitely got over the hump, unlike other areas of the world. Everyone's getting back to work. All the means the government's able to relax all the restrictions, and job security will go up. People will go back into work, etc. And it's great confidence, isn't it? That's what it's all about. It's confidence.
That's right. Another thing, free trade agreement is signed. So Australia has signed the Regional Comprehensive Economy Partnership in November. It is the world's largest trade deal. Countries involved: Australia, China, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, and 10 members of ASEAN, including Indonesia, Vietnam, covering 30% of the entire global economy. It is good news for Australian exporters. The partnership will definitely streamline rules across all countries involved, allow better access for the service economy, and ultimately means better economy growth. I just hope that there's a lot of other noises that's happening in the market at the moment, because that trade between the different countries, especially Australia and China, is very, very important. It's very, very important. And then the last thing is that Australia technically out of recession. It's not to be certain Australia is out of recession. When the 2020 national accounts are released. However, it looks like we are definitely going towards the direction of being technically out of recession at the moment.
The growth we've had the last few months, we're definitely out. And then the last two things is we've got two other articles which are about your lobster.
About the lobster. Why don't we put it back into the Gary time?
Oh, right. Gary time.
Yeah, the Gary time, and let's have a look at what we want to talk about this week.
Well, that is my.
You mean the lobster thing?
The lobster
okay. Let me get it out for you.
It's important.
It is important, isn't it? All right, just give
People
me.
People have got to get their orders in.
That's right. It's and it has some good food in Chinatown as well. That's Sorry, just let me quickly get it out.
I think he's lost the most important article.
All right. Let's have a look. You sent it to Aaron, haven't you?
I said, oh yeah, sorry. I sent it to Aaron. I sent it to you. I thought.
I haven't got it, but it's
there we are. There's that one and that one. There we are. That one.
All right. So let's pump it up here.
There we are.
There we go. Let me get another one up for you as well.
It's one of the things we've got to thank President Xi for, is that you can all have cheap lobster for Christmas and wash it down with our own sparkling wines.
All right. There we go.
Right? So
let's go for this.
There you go. Well, we were talking about it last week, wasn't it? It's just funny that I saw that today after what we discussed last week, and we were talking about how you got one side with lobster and the other side with the Wagyu beef. And then yesterday I heard that one of Australia's sparkling wines, which is like champagne, has got some world award.
Yep.
So, and again, that will be cheap.
Yeah, it looks like the team dinner is ready. We know what to order.
That's right. So there we go. So we can, even though we've got a trade problem, there's always a good sign. And there's a
there's beneficiary on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, we can. So you can eat our way out of recession.
This is some of the commercial fishers are now selling the world's renowned delicacy at the regional wharves for 30 to 50 per kilogram. That is pretty good.
That's cheap, isn't it?
That's cheap.
I think we should go to Tasmania.
We should. Yeah.
That's where it all comes from. So,
yeah.
And I think Perth, I think they do, like in Western.
So if we're getting down to 30, we're just catching them for the fun of it. Even at 40, we're just catching them for the fun of it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, because it costs you money to run the
Yeah,
boat.
obviously, poor bloke. But, you know.
It is early days. They only made it store on Monday, and we already, had to send another load out. Yeah, Southern Rock Lobsters, Fleet.
You can get on to all your friends in China. Thank for making your Christmas lunch cheap.
Yeah, the fishermen are not having a good time.
No, the fishermen's not, obviously.
Yeah, but look at all these things. So this is what's gonna be on the menu for this year's team party.
I got 20 people, I was calculating, 18 or 20 for lunch on Christmas Day.
Wow. Well, that's good because you have a good family. You have a big family, that's right. And the house wine.
House of
Aries come to the age of top of the world.
Top of the world.
This is the champagne you're talking about, is it?
They've been working at it, and getting better and better over the last few years in terms of winning awards. And now they've got the top one of
top 100 wines of the year.
Yeah, for the world, not just for Australia.
For the world, that's right. Yeah. So
they won't be able to drink it in China.
This is Tasmania.
So we'll be able to drink it.
Let's go get some. There's actually a link. Did you send me a link to buy this? There's actually a link here.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay.
How much?
2004, but that's 2004.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a.
No, don't want that.
It's not this year's wine.
I'm happy with this year's.
Yep. No problem. We'll check out how much is it for this year.
I don't know.
It looks like we're a commercial channel. We probably should get sponsors in now.
I think we can do we'll be able to find it.
Yeah, we'll be able to find it.
There you are.
No problem.
Anyway.
Yeah, because we need to enter the date of birth in order to get in. But anyway, all right, good to know. Now the dinner and the wine are set. That takes something off my stress. Imagine to run a company and feed all these people from different part of the world.
That's what you can't have.
That's right. Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. And we look forward to see you again next week. It's more close to Christmas. I hope everyone can start to enjoy the holidays, get the shopping done, and then try to spend as much time with the family, if possible. And then tune into our channel to look at what's happening in the real estate market.
Well, yeah. We've already got our lights. Our Christmas lights went up 2 weeks ago.
Oh, is it?
They already started to fail, so I have to buy some more. Christmas tree went up, and the dog took that down. So there we go.
Here we go. Thank you so much. I'm Peter.
I'm Gary.
I'll see you next week.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.